Hello, good morning, and happy coffee. How is everybody? Is everybody having fall weather like I am? Probably not, but maybe. If this is the first time we've met, my name is Alex, and I live and garden in Missouri, Zone 6B/7A. We tend to be 7A in the summer and 6B in the winter. It likes to get real hot and then real cold. Today is the 28th of September. That means we are nearing the end of September. I have not done a garden tour. I've been very busy. My garden isn't much to look at right now, but I like to do monthly tours not only for you guys, but for myself. So this morning, before I head into work, we're just going to go through the garden and I'm going to show you everything I still have. And hopefully within about 2 months, there will be a lot more actually in the garden rather than inside in my grow room or garlic waiting to be planted out. So let's go on and get to it. Set my coffee here. Okay, we're gonna start at the boring end. Just so you know, before we even show you, it's not organized, okay? It's a switching, it's a transition season. So a lot of my containers are empty and a lot of cats like to poop in my containers. So that's what's up with all this, but we'll talk about that here in just a minute. First of all, this is just a little like bread tray with some little pots on it, some 2x2-inch Bootstrap Farmer pots, and some hanging baskets. This was still like down there at the beginning of my driveway, and I didn't realize that it had been sitting there since we moved. So I didn't even know that was there until we mowed the lawn the other day. This is my compost tumbler. Oh God, right on my shoe. Love that. So this is my compost tumbler. It is the brand Vivosun. I would say Vivosun. That's hard to see. There it is. Vivosun. And there's two sides and there's a split down the middle so that you can have, one side like really finishing out your compost and one side that's just getting started. But I find that it doesn't make a lot in just one side, and if one is almost finished and the other's just getting started, then I don't want to turn the compost tumbler as much because they have different needs based on what area of compost they're in. So I try to just empty it all at once and restart it all at once. So right now, we just restarted it a couple weeks ago, so we've just got some soil, some wood shavings, there's a banana peel right there. This little green stuff is just lettuce. And I love this little thing. It was a little bit of a learning curve to figure out like how often it likes to be turned and when and if it likes to have any water added and how long it actually takes to compost. But now that I've had it for over 3 years, I think, I basically just understand what's going on now. And it's almost like second nature. I don't even have to really think about it. I just put stuff in there, tumble it when I need to, and it sits there until the compost is done. It's amazing. I love it. Oh, also, animals can't get in it. There are little holes, so like little bugs, roly-polies and stuff could get in there, but it's pretty high off the ground. So even if there was something a little smelly in there, I don't put meat or animal products in my compost. It's all vegetable scraps. The only thing close to animal products I would put in there is eggshells. So even if you did put something a little smelly that would attract some animals, it's off the ground. They can't get it, and I put this thing together myself, so it's pretty sturdy. It would take something that weighed quite a lot to push this over and then break it open. Maybe if a raccoon was smart enough, it could get up here and open these, but if you put weight on either side, just a little bit, it's gonna roll. So they don't like it, and that's great. Next thing we have is my green stock of strawberries. These recently were all sitting in one layer each to where the tiers were like next to each other instead of stacked. And I had the little babies propagating. Here's an example of where I cut the stem, and here's a new little baby plant. I think of the first 4 tiers, only this pocket and this pocket don't have a strawberry in it. So there's 6 pockets on each tier. So that's 6, 12, 18, 24, 23, 22, because of the 2 that don't have pockets, or the 2 pockets that don't have strawberries. But then I have 2 strawberry plants down here. That's back up to 24. There are 24 strawberry plants in here. Oh, I found another pocket with none. So 23. I have 23 strawberry plants in this one green stalk, and I'm finally getting enough slowly that I could probably make something out of it come spring. A little coffee drink break. Okay, so just next to the green stalk, but a little bit behind, this thing with the wheels is like a little stool that has some storage space on the inside. I had that sitting over there, like just about right there, and ants made a house in it. So I opened it during the rain and then have it turned out upside down like that so that ants don't want to live in it. This right here is an iris that I've had growing for, I think, 2.5 to 3 years now. I got it from my friend's property. He has a ring around a tree with a bunch of irises planted in it. He doesn't know what color or anything like that, and he let me take some. So this, oh, my angel's turned around. So this is my little bird bath. It is cast iron, and yes, it is very rusty. If you have any suggestions on how to take care of that, let me know, because I have no idea. This is just a metal container with some buckets and stuff in it, some hanging planters, these containers are like this one here and that one there. Some 5-gallon buckets. This bucket is overturned because there is mulch under it. It's just a big trash bag full of this mulch. I didn't want it to get soaking wet in the rain that we had, so I just covered it with that bucket. This right here is my first carrot planting for the fall season, and it's also my first time using pelleted carrot seed, and I think I really like the pelleted carrot seed. I didn't have to worry as much about the seeds and soil getting displaced. And I could, when I planted them, I could see exactly where I had put them, so I got to space them out, and now I don't have to thin out any carrot seedlings. I can just let them grow just like this, don't have to waste any seed or kill any plants, and that makes me very happy. So they're all doing really good and starting to get true leaves. Yay! So right here next to the green stalk, this is my little garden table. I love this table, even though it's a bit bad looking. I don't care. This tray of plants I just pulled out. I had it underneath that table to protect it from the rain, but it is lots of kale, different lettuces, there's more lettuce, sprouting broccoli. This is all spinach, and then these 2 are cilantro, and these are primroses, but primroses can take like 50 days to germinate, so I don't know if those will even germinate or not, but I thought I might as well plant something in the last 6 cell. So these are a lot of the fall seedlings that will soon be going into the containers. Okay, right here in this container, this is a dead plant. That's nothing really. We've got 2 little containers of just tags that my mom and I found in the garden the other day. I never said I was the most organized gardener. I just said I was a gardener. So I think these are just grass. I'm gonna pluck them out. This is rosemary, and this is the most successful I've ever been with growing a rosemary plant. My mom brushed up against it the other day when she was helping me in the garden and started freaking out. She was like, "Oh my God, Alex, what is that smell? That smells so good. What did I touch?" So I clipped off a piece just from right here and gave it to her to smell it, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, that smells so good." She's like, "Are you gonna dry it in your house?" And I was like, I mean, I could. She was like, "It would smell so good." I don't know what happened to it. I think she ended up just throwing it on the ground somewhere because we were busy in the garden. And this right here, I had a container of just like old soil that I was going to use to fill the bottom of buckets. It was in that white like pull wheelbarrow container thing. And when we went to clean it out, this butterfly pea was just growing right up in there. And I was like, yo, what the heck? I have struggled to grow this on purpose, let alone when it's growing on accident in the container. I mean, obviously I had planted it, but it didn't sprout for me, and it sprouted for the wild. So I saved that little guy, and it's been, I think, 3 days now since I put him there, so it looks like he's gonna grow nicely. I'll probably bring that in my house because it will die when it freezes. And maybe I'd like to get a head start for next year instead of having to regrow it every time because it grows so slow. This one with the bucket on top has nothing in it. It's just prepared for garlic. So there's just old used potting soil and then homemade compost on top and then covered with mulch. Anything that's growing in here is just weeds or grass. that I will pick out once I plant the garlic. This is a thornless blackberry bush that has died and lived again. It seems to be still going strong enough. So that's a blackberry bush. I don't know what kind, I just know it's thornless. That's just an empty overturned container. There's no holes in this one, so I need to drill holes in the bottom, and then that one will probably be filled for also garlic or onions, or maybe also carrots like this one next to it. Here in the white container, we have chocolate mint that desperately would like a new container. It's not doing so hot. It's been in this one for probably 3 years, and it still just keeps growing somehow, so I'll probably overturn this container and just cut the root ball into 4 sections and make this into 4 different mint plants. Under here is the same deal we got going on, just used soil and then homemade compost and mulch, ready for garlic. All of these next containers are just used soil, topped with homemade compost, topped with mulch, and let to sit for the garlic. So that'd be this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 9 shallow containers that I have ready to plant garlic in. And all of these buckets on top are just, like I said, to keep out the cats. So that looks like a mess, but really it's just containers on top of containers to keep cats out. This container just has some used soil in the bottom half, and this is my bag of worm castings that I just have sitting here. I have it rolled to where the rain can't get in it, and I've just left it out here because I need to use it when I plant the garlic again. I will put a little handful of worm castings in each hole where I plant my garlic, as well as all the other things I plant, broccoli, anything like that I transplant into the garden. I'll put a little bit of worm castings in the hole. Okay guys, we got about a third of the way done, maybe. But I have to go to work, and it's really windy, so I don't even know if you can hear me. Oh, a bumblebee. Sorry, I get distracted by bumblebees, I guess. Okay, well, I will come back home on lunch and maybe do the rest of this with you guys. If not, then I will see you tomorrow morning for the rest of the garden tour. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the garden, and it is time to get this tour done. Also, it's 50 degrees out here right now, hence the sweater, just so you know. So, fall is a-comin'. Technically, it is here, but the high for today is 85 degrees, so won't need this for long. Let's get to the garden. Okay, the other day we looked at this extra stuff. We got compost tumbler, tower of strawberries. That is, all 4 of these tiers are filled with strawberries, basically. We've got some seedlings. I'll show you those because it's been a few days. My little fall seedlings here. These are cilantro, spinach. Ooh, real leaves on the spinach, true leaves. We've got lettuce. These are sprouting broccolis, more lettuce. So those are just fall seedlings. We've got some extra stuff back there, an iris. That's actually mulch. These carrots are doing amazing. I am definitely a fan of pelleted carrot seed. We've got rosemary and butterfly pea. Nothing in any of these containers on the bottom. This is mint, this is chocolate mint actually. And there's nothing in any of these containers. They're just prepared for garlic to be planted. This weekend on Sunday, I am going to the Harvest Festival at Baker Creek, which is where I am going to buy my garlic. So this weekend I will have the garlic. I'm going to put it in my fridge for cold stratification just for a couple of weeks, and then the week of Halloween I'm going to be planting out my garlic. Isn't that so crazy? It's already time to plant garlic again. Jeez Louise. So this container just has my worm castings in it, and then this is my volunteer tomatillo that sprouted up late August. Was living all through September, and then obviously into October. Has quite a few flowers on it. Some little baby tomatillos going. Maybe I'll get a handful of those before it freezes. These big containers have nothing. This is just an empty container in a nothingness. My mom bought me some impatiens from an auction, and I neglected them very heavily. I threw them outside, and I didn't expect any of them to live, but this one says, oh, absolutely not, girl, we are living. More empty containers, empty container, empty container. As you can see, it is definitely a transition period from beautiful strawberries to empty containers to peppers. I don't know what time of year it is. Who does? Empty container. These are green beans that I planted in mid-August, beginning to late August. I don't know, sometime in August. And there are plenty of green beans still growing on them, and we still have flowers. I actually need to harvest green beans from these, because these beans are a little larger. They're a little larger than I would like them to be for eating. I like them small, like a little bit bigger than this would be perfect. That's perfect. So all that's in this container is just like 12 green bean plants that I've been slowly eating fresh green beans off of. In this container, that's emerald everleaf basil, which is still really thick and bushy and nice. I need to trim it if I want it to keep growing. And there's a huge daddy longleg in there. Can you see that? Almost stuck my hand right in that spider. There's a zinnia right there. That was a volunteer that I saved. This front container here we have, this is called phlox. It is a native here in Missouri. I did find it at the river. I didn't know what it was at that time, and I just really loved it. I loved how the flowers looked and the shape of the petals, and I don't know, it just looked really nice and I liked it. So we dug it up at the river and brought it home, and I've had it ever since. This is not supposed to be this color. This is because these are the oldest branches on here, and I need to fertilize the container, so it's running out of nutrients a little bit. So in here with that, we have 2 Sunbright bell peppers, which are still producing peppers for me. This one got really tall and lanky and didn't look very good and wasn't producing, so I just cut it back really far, and now all of this growth is all new. There are lots of peppers on it. So it's about 1/3 the size of this plant, but looks just as beautiful, if not more beautiful. This one has some leaf curling. That's because there was a lot of heat stress through August and September, just random days that were 100 degrees. But overall, the plant is still doing pretty good and obviously has peppers on it. There's some down here as well. Next down the line, this one, those squirrels are going nuts. In the back here, all I have is English thyme, but it is doing really, really well. It's loving the colder weather at nighttime. This front container, we have 2 habanada peppers, which are now among my favorite peppers. So, habanada meaning a habanero that is bred to have no spice. So, every time I take a bite of these, I feel like I can taste where the spice is supposed to be, and I'm like, oh god, and then it just never comes. So you just bite it, and it's like your mouth can feel where the spice should be, and it's just not spicy. It's just sweet. It's really, really crisp walls, thin walls. My love bug doesn't even like peppers, and he likes these peppers, so let me show you guys. Like that. See, pretty thin walls. The skin is not very thick. Nice seeds in there. It's just really sweet. Maybe I'll have some volunteers next year. So those are my 2 habanada plants. They are not looking the best up near the top. All the leaves are really small and yellowing. But honestly, they're going to die in a few weeks in the frost anyway, so I'm not too worried about it. This is an oregano, just a plain old Italian oregano. It did die back a lot, and all of this fresh green right here is new growth coming out of the ground, so that's cool. So I'm just going to finish going down the road this way because it gets hard to see the back, and then we'll go back down the road that way. So here is, I think, my last 2 standing serrano peppers, and those also look kind of like the habanadas, where they're just really, the growth is really small on the top. And these ones are very bare close to the bottoms, and then are just really bushy at the top. But again, the peppers are going to die within the next few weeks, so I'm not going to bother. Right here, down at the bottom of the serrano peppers, we have scabiosa, also called blanket flower. And I had this growing in the spring and beginning of summer. It got really hot and it died back. And then when the cooler weather started coming back, it started to sprout up. So I cut off all of the dead growth and now it's basically a plant again. This metal container actually has nothing in it. I just have these plants sitting on top of it. This is a canna lily. I don't know what specific kind. My mom got them from an auction. I do know it is red, a red flower. There's a little guy in there. So these were sitting on my back porch and getting neglected. That's why there's big old dead leaves. Also, they didn't get hardened off when moving, so they were sitting on my back porch at my old house, which got a lot of shade throughout most of the day. And I just moved them straight to the new property and directly onto the back porch, which here the back porch gets a lot of sun. So they just weren't quite used to that and got a little bit distressed. Okay, this one I just took out of the container so you could see which leaves were for it versus the canna lily. And I really love this one. I think it's called aglaonemia. I'm not 100% sure that I remember the name properly. I just got this plant from Walmart on clearance. It was, I think, $5. It does need a repot. It's getting pretty big for its pot. But it has bounced back from the move really well. All these new leaves are looking good, and it is liking it here outside, so I'll probably keep it out here until first frost. Oh, my canna lily is rooting into that container. I'll have to fix that. Okay, here we've got 3 jalapeno plants. They're Craig's Grande jalapenos, these 3 here. And this one is a yellow banana pepper, which is turning purple somehow. I don't know. But this is one of the pepper plants that I didn't trim back, and it is super tall. And the jalapenos I did trim back, and they are putting on so much new growth down at the base, which is cool. This guy here is an Anaheim pepper, and I trimmed it back somewhat, but I left this one big one because there was a lot of peppers on it. Like this one, and this one, and this one. They all still look pretty good, so I wanted to keep those peppers for chopped green chilies. And then in here with the basil, this is just remnants of the giant sunflower that I had growing over the summer. This pepper plant is another Anaheim pepper, and I did cut this one back, so you can see the difference between not cut back and cut back. This plant was cut back at this section at the same time as this one, but it's still trying to push nutrients to the peppers and the leaves way out here, so these ones don't look as green. Whereas after I cut this one, it didn't have anywhere to send its nutrients and food to, so it's just right here. Oh, bumblebee. Hi, little guy. Enjoy your time on my pepper plant. Get some food while you can. It's gonna be cold soon. Oh my gosh, bumblebees are so cute. Look at that guy. He says, I'm gonna just sit right here, take a little break. My body's so fat, it's hard to fly around. And then this here is a Genovese basil, which is the regular traditional Italian sweet basil. And I'm not going to pick these flowers off, actually. I'm going to let them feed the bees and the butterflies like that little guy that we just saw, because I'm not going to use very much basil for the rest of the year anyway. And I have 2 plants, that one and that one over there that you already saw, which aren't flowering. So I could just use those ones if I do need some basil. The only thing in this container is some parsley that is probably not going to grow back. I cut it hoping that it would grow some new growth down from the bottom, but I think I might have cut it too far down, and then the new growth that did come was just flowers and not actual parsley. So, but I think this might be a pansy, so I'm going to leave it, as well as this might be a pansy, but that looks a little different. I'm pretty sure this one's a pansy, though. Told you the hoodie wouldn't last long. I already had to take it off, and it's only been 10 minutes. Okay, so this container here has some more peppers in it. Let me see if I can find the tag. That is not a pepper tag. There they are. Okay, so this container has Lesia peppers, which is a thick-walled, teardrop-shaped sweet pepper, like a bell pepper, but it's called a Lesia pepper. And I just noticed this, actually. I didn't even know until right now. I had a slow bolt cilantro plant right here, and these two little babies, oh, and this one, these three little babies are actually cilantro. So I will definitely leave those. Those, despite salsa being a summer thing, because tomatoes are grown in the summer, tomatillos are grown in the summer, peppers are grown in the summer, but everyone loves to put cilantro in their salsa. But most people don't know is that cilantro is not a summer crop. Cilantro does not like heat. It will bolt and flower and go to seed, meaning it will stop producing the leaves that you want to eat, start producing a chemical that makes the plant bitter, and then produce seeds so that it can reproduce itself. But at the same time, like, now I have free cilantro plants, even though I have so much cilantro planted, so those ones might not even live. I guess we'll find out. But cilantro actually likes cool weather. Right here, we have the best looking butterfly pea that I've ever grown. I guess this is only the second time I've tried to grow it, which is a pretty good success rate, but still. It is going all over into other containers now. This little thing that you saw twirled near the cilantro over here was butterfly pea. This variety is called Lavender Queen. Purple flower. Oh, I broke the flower off. I didn't mean to, but that's what it looks like. Super pretty. Lots of layered petals. And I guess it is also liking the cooler weather, because as soon as it stopped being 100 degrees, this thing exploded. In here with it is just another English thyme, which, oh, it smells so good. Yes, I love that. I'm going to be harvesting some of this to use for Thanksgiving, and it's going to make me so happy to be using my own herbs for my Thanksgiving dinner. Okay, these 4 containers on the end just have used potting soil / mulch, just used soil down in the bottom half. And within the next couple of weeks, I will be purchasing a truck bed of compost, and these will just be topped with compost and then mixed together a little bit. And these will be holding broccolis and cabbages and stuff for the fall garden. Okay, this plant right here, that's just behind my containers, this big ol', but let me see if I can see how it's like coming over like that. Boo, boo. This is like a wild berry bush. You see the little red berries on it? Little red berries. But it is so pokey. There are so many tiny thorns on this thing. I have to be careful walking behind here. I really need to just trim them. Let me see if I can. Yeah, look at those. All over it. So sharp. So let me just... Okay, thanks, bud. Okay, so those are the 4 containers that are going to be new this fall. Here we have another parsley plant that I did the same thing with, and it did the same thing. So I need to plant some parsley. This is definitely a tomato seedling that I did not plant, so we are going to pluck that. Sorry, little tomato, but I don't have time for you to grow. These are weeds, so we're going to pull those. Oh, dang it, that one didn't come. These weeds that I'm pulling right now are actually some kind of tree, and they get planted really, really deep down in your soil. And you got to get the whole root out for it to not grow back. So that was pretty difficult to pull. But I got them. Okay, so other than this parsley, there's nothing in this container. These are California Wonder bell peppers. I also gave these a little bit of a trim, and they are exploding with growth. They are so dark green on the top. I have so many tiny little peppers. Look at that one. That one. There's this one. There's just 3 just right there. So these plants are a little bit bare at the stalks also, but doing pretty good, like really good at the top. Probably my best looking pepper plants that I have right now still. This is also California Wonder. Same thing going on, lots of green, lots of little peppers, lots of flowers. And then down here, these are garlic chives that I have had planted here since spring, and they've not gotten much bigger than this. So they're just chilling. This is an entire container of Italian oregano that I need to chop some of. So I guess the whole container isn't actually full. All of these are just kind of sitting on top of the soil and mulch. But literally half of it, like chop it in half this way, and all of that is rooted with oregano. Oregano will just keep growing and growing. It spreads underground like mint. So that's why when you pull back like this, you see these tiny little babies coming out from the ground. Those are actually spreading from this same plant, just coming out from the ground. See these ones? Just shooting out like that. Those ones did the same thing, just underground. And if you leave them on top, like the roots right here, these little white guys, these were not buried at first, and they've just sat on top of the soil for so long that they've rooted down into it. So oregano will spread everywhere. If you don't want your plants to be strangled, don't plant oregano with them. I keep this one pretty trimmed. I use a shovel to trim the roots back within the soil, and I trim back the top. So it's a bit of a hassle, but I am able to plant other things in here with that. Moving on down, this is my, I don't remember what it's called now. Did I move the tag to it? I did find the tag for it while I was moving, but now I don't remember what they're called again. They're called like scarlet something dwarf snapdragons, but these are dwarf snapdragons. So they only get about this tall, maybe 8 inches from where the plant's actually planted in the ground. I got a 6-pack of this plant from my local grocery store last summer, so 2023, and it was this big at the time, and now it's huge. Snapdragons are frost hardy, so this guy has been living in this container outside since last summer, 2023, all through the winter. Next is another basil plant. This basil does not have a tag, so I don't know which kind it is. It's either Genovese basil or emerald everleaf. I think this is emerald everleaf because the leaves are so small. This is Genovese basil, and the leaves are quite big. So I think this is emerald everleaf basil. It smells so good. It was really windy the other day, and I came outside and the basil was moving all around like this, and all of a sudden I just inhaled basil from like 20 feet away, and it was amazing. Okay, moving on down the line here, there's the basil we just looked at. Right here is datil peppers, and you will notice that I have a lot of ripe and overripe and even rotting peppers on these. And that's because these are the spiciest peppers that I grew this year. And they are very, very spicy. So I had planned